I don't even have a headset on. I can't even hear you. All right. Entertain them while I go get my headset.
Just kidding. What's going on, chat? It's my show now. We are here. It's just me, I think. I don't know if you guys can see me or hear me. But I'm taking over. Some good ups in that first period. We outshot them 11-4. Great stuff. What? You back?
I'm back.
I was just taking over the show.
So starting with the ups, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's nice to see the Canucks pushing the offense, especially against this very speedy Canadiens team. They are leading the league in scoring, so it's nice to see the defense containing them as well as they have. Officiating, we will say, is a down, and just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you miss a slash when the stick breaks, and that was definitely not offside. But hey, we'll just move forward and say we got lucky with another Kane giveaway that almost ended up being a breakaway wide open in front of the net. Luckily, he passed it hard enough that it bounced off the player's stick and went to Marcus Pettersson. But that one definitely made me go, oh no. And really like that top line. PD, Garland, DeBrusk. DeBrusk does look like the odd man out a little bit on that line because of how hard PD and Garland are working. But I was kind of talking to someone earlier today, and he mentioned like how DeBrusk got faster and maybe needs some time for his hands to catch up. But like I've kind of been waiting for DeBrusk to put it together since he was signed here. And, at some point he's just got to take a real hard look in the mirror and decide if he wants to be a top 6 forward or if he just wants to be a middling top 9 guy. Because if he's going to continue to kind of coast the way he's coasting, I don't want him on the top line. I want someone there like a Höglander when he comes back who's going to help drive the energy on that line and push and use his body a little more. Like DeBrusk is a big guy. He just needs to be more physical and he needs to get more involved. And he's just too much floating out high in the offensive zone for me. And I just think like when he's most effective, it's when he's being dirty and gritty in front of the net. And if he could start doing that stuff along the boards, I just think it would propel him into that more dynamic offensive player that we can see the potential. I just don't know what it's going to take to get that to click. So I just keep waiting and hoping, but the more I wait and hope, the more I just don't know if he has it in him. So, hopefully maybe, I don't know what's going to happen further with Reichel. Like he's doing a good job tonight, just kind of looking for an open man and trying to play zone coverage and make sure he doesn't make any critical mistakes. So far, not bad. He looks uncomfortable taking faceoffs, which we expected kind of to happen. But even with that, the Canucks are 57.9% in the faceoff dot. So everyone's kind of stepping up their game, knowing that they're short one guy kind of that's going to struggle. So good stuff all around. The power play looked a little more threatening tonight. Got a couple of better chances to the net, which was good to see. And yeah, hopefully they just if they keep this energy, I mean, they're going to keep controlling this game. They've had a lot of close chances. They're going to get a couple more 5-on-5. Pettersson looks to have the most energy I think we've seen out of him all year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the 2 wingers that he has. Like he has Garland out there and he knows that DeBrusk is going to be at the front of the net if he wants to slow the offensive zone stuff down, and him and Garland can kind of do a 2-man cycle with DeBrusk going to the front of the net and drawing defenders away and creating space. So overall, a pretty good period back at home.
So KJ Brazy squared using their monthly management message to say, "Sweet Jersey, Big Dusty."
Yeah, I love it.
And then Swervin Irvin comes in and says, "Russ on play-by-play, Dusty on color when?" 279 dono from Swervin Irvin.
Wow. I mean, we could maybe start practicing that in an Abbey game or something. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Won't be able to do it tomorrow.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. We'll have a look ahead. Definitely. That's something we can think about for sure, Swervin. Did you have a give and go between Pettersson and Hronek on your bingo card?
No, but actually, I will give props to DeBrusk for that heads up play. Like, he does have the offensive mentality to let that go by him, because he did look and see Petey behind him, and Petey was in a better angle than he was to shoot. DeBrusk would have got caught in his skates, so he let it go by. And I like Pettersson taking a second and letting the Canadian defenseman commit to blocking the shot so he could have an opening to shoot around him, and making sure that he buried that one. Yeah, no, a really good play, even with Garland through the neutral zone to find Pettersson, streaking up with speed, and the drop pass to Hronek. Really good things. That's more of what we saw in the preseason, that type of rush attack. And if the Canucks can keep pushing the play like that in the second period, I think they'll be able to handle this young Montreal team just fine.
Jake the Pancake is suggesting, what if it's Garland, Petey, Besser instead for the first line, switching to DeBrusk and Besser?
I mean, yeah, that could work because Garland is capable of playing both sides of the ice. The only downside is they're both right-handed shots, and you like to have that versatility for Pettersson as a centerman to kind of have the wingers cycle back and forth. You open up more chances at one-timers. When you have two right-handed guys out there, it takes away a one-timer from one guy, but I don't mind that makeup as long as DeBrusk and Besser are separated as wingers, because that seems to be the major pair that just is dysfunctional with whatever centerman is out there. They're just far too similar. So Besser could work with them, and I think he would actually probably be more effective than DeBrusk because he's a little better at finding those shooting lanes. And Garland could then be kind of more the net front guy, but then Pettersson is doing more of that board work on his own again. So I like kind of the balance. What I'd like to see is them get an actual centerman and Reichel bumped up to be on Pettersson's left wing with Garland, because I actually think that would give Reichel the best chance to utilize his best skills right now while he settles into this team, because he hasn't really been given the amount of ice time you would expect a 23-year-old player to have had by now in the NHL. In Chicago, he was kind of buried behind Bedard after they got Bedard. His development was kind of put on the back burner, and it's unfortunate because, hearing and reading a lot of the comments from Blackhawks fans, they're really not impressed that they lost this player, especially for the 4th-round pick that they got for him in turn. They all pretty much have the same sentiment that he wasn't given a fair shot. And so I'm really excited to see what the change of scenery will do for this player.
Yeah, be nice for Reichel to play with his hero too, saying that Pettersson is the guy he does his game after at his draft day thing. So that was kind of funny. I have shocking news for you, Dustin. I have an up to give to Adam Foote. I have an up for Adam Foote. His line deployment around that power play was like the best I've seen his line deployment. So he started the second unit because the top unit, all their players retired. They, with a minute into it, they switched to the first power play unit, and then immediately after the first power play unit is over, instead of doing some jumbled mishmash of a whole bunch of players, he just put the Abbey line out, which is perfect, right? There's no chaos for people not knowing who they're playing with. So that's one of the first times this year I'm like, Adam Foote, you nailed it on that line deployment. So an up for Adam Foote, at least in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. With everything that happened in the last 2 games, it was much better control of the lines. And maybe that's to do with being at home, right? Where he has last change. Something that might take him some time is working on getting his change timing on the road and getting better matchups, because it's obviously harder having the first change on the road rather than being able to watch what players are being put out there by the visitors, and then you can match it up much easier. So we have kind of seen that his deployment at home, we haven't really complained about it. The most we've complained about it is on the road. And, that just dawned on me as something that may be the main issue with that. Is the road matchup is tougher for the visiting team. So that might be the learning curve that Foote needs. And maybe that's more of the focus we need to talk about, less about his inexperience and more that it's what the major advantages of it playing at home, right? So, yeah, no, good notice on that one for sure. And like we, like I've said, like we got frustrated about his deployment, but he's learning on the fly, which we've never experienced before. No organization has experienced this, so it's all new stuff, and we're going to have moments where we over analyze or panic because there's no AHL games to pull from with Foote's experience. It's all going to be new for us, and we're going to have to pick at it and find maybe some explanations for the reasoning that he's doing things that maybe he doesn't even understand subconsciously that he's doing.
Mancini and Willander do the old like we expected. Yeah, I know, right? Mancini does not get in the game tonight. Do you think he gets slotted in tomorrow night on a back-to-back with P.O. Joseph being a little bit longer in the tooth?
100%. POJ comes out tomorrow, and Mancini will be in against Edmonton, especially with the Edmonton kind of starting to find their feet and get their scoring going again. You're going to want the younger, more mobile Mancini in the lineup, and I would absolutely expect Pierre-Olivier Joseph to be scratched tomorrow. And as we go on, like with Mancini's play, I mean, he played incredibly last night for Abbotsford, despite them losing that game. I really think that Pierre-Olivier Joseph is going to find himself on waivers when Forbert comes back because I think Mancini has earned his right to play in the NHL. We've seen in 2 games from Pierre-Olivier Joseph that he just doesn't look as high talent as some of the young players that we have at either end of the ice. And he really hasn't shown that he deserves that spot over Mancini right now. So I would prefer to see Pierre-Olivier Joseph down in the minors, helping out down there as a veteran. I think that would be more useful for him. And Mancini back up here full time would be way more beneficial for his development.
Hughes minutes. And Swervin Irvin with a 279 dono says through 20 minutes, Quinn Hughes' longest shift was 1 minute and 15 seconds, which is perfect. And I know yesterday we were talking about it, or the other day, I don't know. It's all a blur now because we're streaming every day. I obviously had a rant about Quinn Hughes minutes, and we were trying to decide, is that Adam Foote saying play, or is that Quinn Hughes staying out long? So today, before the game, Adam Foote met with the media as he does, and he essentially called it Quinn Hughes was pressing, AKA those long shifts were Quinn Hughes's idea, AKA Quinn Hughes does what he wants. So that is a little concerning in some ways because even their relationship seems a little bit too, like, you know how there should be the relationship between father and son, but then sometimes you get like father and son that are like more like friends, and sometimes that can be a problem. I think that might be the situation that we're dealing with between Hughes and Foote. Are you kind of getting that sense after hearing what he said today?
Oh, 100%. You just get the feeling that Quinn was kind of running the show, and that can't be the case. Um, it happens at workplaces too, right? Like employees get too close with a manager, and then maybe that employee has to be disciplined or something, and then it becomes awkward,
Yeah.
right? The manager then has to be a little more direct with that employee. And this is the case right now. Like, I get that Foote developed a really close relationship with Quinn, being the defensive coach, and assistant coaches usually are closer with the players than the head coach because they work directly on the systems with them, right? Like, the head coach works on the main thing, but then in practices, a lot of times, like, we don't see it as just average fans, but if you're looking into practices and that sort of thing, the offense goes with the offensive coach for a lot of the time, and the defense goes with the defensive coach, and they work on their own systems. And then it's all kind of mixed together with the main drills with the head coach overseeing that sort of stuff. Um, so that's why those relationships develop better with assistant coaches, and so when they get promoted, there always is maybe a little bit of a power dynamic issue. And in this case, it just happens to be with our best player. Um, but I think Quinn Hughes is mature enough. If everyone sat down and talked about the path forward and what it needs to be, Quinn is absolutely going to be more cognizant of the time he's spending on the ice, because I kind of doubt that he realizes he's out there for that long,
Right.
just because of the competitor that he is. Like, he's not looking up at the clock and going, "Oh, I got to get off the ice." He's going, "I got to get off the ice when I can't breathe anymore because I'm trying to win this hockey game." And if that happens to be 3 minutes later, then that's what happens to be, right? Like, but that a coach needs to be paying attention to ice time, and he needs to be the one calling him off the ice. And so we'll see how the trend changes, or how Quinn's ice time plays out in the next maybe 2 or 3 games, and see if it is something that we see, Foote trying to take more control over.
Yeah. Well, I got that up on the screen for the folks right now. 11 shifts he took in that first period, which, considering in the last game he only took 19 shifts the entire game. Good to see. Still, a decent amount of minutes. So he ends up still with 8:43 played, which is a good amount for him. But shorter shifts are more effective. And so we like that.
Yeah. Well, an 8:43 over 3 periods is going to be around the 25-minute mark, right?
Yeah.
Just over 26, which is what we want to see for Quinn Hughes, right? That's the average for most number one defensemen in the NHL is 22 to 25 minutes, depending on special teams and that sort of thing in the game. But 30 minutes is just too much time unless it's a must win, like game 7,
Right.
and you got nothing left. This early in the season, you don't want to run the risk of him over pushing it too far and having a season ending injury, because then we're absolutely screwed. So yeah, we need Foote to have a little more of a leash on his number one defenseman.
Where do you sit when it comes to the Blue Jays? Because they're just getting underway now. In game 2 in the World Series, are you following the baseball? Are you cheering for the Blue Jays? Where does Dusty sit when it comes to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've been a Blue Jays fan since I was young. Like, I remember Joe Carter winning in 93. That was kind of my first experience with baseball. And so I am a big Blue Jays fan. It's just been a long 32 years for them to get back there. I watched when Bautista did the bat flip and they got close. But it just, it's been so much pain as a Blue Jays fan. And then this year just felt like the pitching wasn't going to get us there. And then all of a sudden this 22-year-old phenom comes out of nowhere, and suddenly we're in the World Series, and I couldn't be happier. I love an underdog team, and they play baseball the right way. They get on base, they'll single your heart out, and then just wait to pounce. And a key home run can come from any one of the batters 1 through 9. And it's just been a delight to watch.
Just a reminder, chat, keep your questions ready for the post-game show. We can't really get to a lot of the questions we're doing the Sideshow, but the game is about to get underway there. So Dustin, enjoy the rest of the game, and we'll talk post-game.
Absolutely. Enjoy the game, chat. We'll talk to you after it.
Nothing is perfect.